All right, so welcome to our National Center for Computer Science Education webinar for March. Our topic this evening is what's next, and we want you to take a look at planning your professional development. We have a great lineup of speakers for you tonight to share lots of resources with you and help you as you are planning the next step in your CS teaching journey. So we are so thrilled to have you joining in tonight. We have folks that are here in the room live, and we have folks that we know will be watching the recording. Just know that this meeting is recorded, and you can raise your hand at any point or turn on the live transcription, closed captions at the bottom of the screen. We also have the chat feature, which I'm going to invite those in the room to respond and interact with us using the chat throughout the night. Our agenda for tonight, we had, again, a jam-packed agenda with some introductions to some of the organizations that are involved with this work. We'll do an activity that involves a self-reflection and looking at planning your CS journey. We have a guest speaker who will share more about Runestone Academy, and we have some additional resources and professional learning opportunities to share with you. At the end, we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers and networking with the presenters, and we are open to having breakout rooms if there's enough interest for doing that. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. If you have not interacted with me yet, I am Pauline Lake, and I am the Professional Learning Manager for the National Center for Computer Science Education. And I generally run these webinars, but also interact with a lot of the CS educators at the National Center for Computer Science Education who are working with either CS Awesome, Mobile CSP, or Coaching for Equity and CS, all of which will have opportunities shared with you tonight. I'm going to pass it over to Art, who's one of our presenters, to introduce himself.
Thanks, Pauline. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here with you. And I'm going to say hi from San Diego, California. And I am a retired computer science teacher after 36 years, retired last year. And now I'm a project manager for Coding Our Future, creating CS plus elementary open source and free units for computer science education for the University of California, San Diego. And I'm also the high school representative for the board of directors of the Computer Science Teachers Association. And I am a past facilitator and also a current member of the CS Awesome RPP group, and really excited to work with Pauline and everyone else and my colleague Kate on here with teaching APCSA through CS Awesome. And I'll pass it on to Brad.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brad Miller. As you can see, I'm a professor emeritus at Luther College in Decorah, Iowa. I founded the Runestone project in 2011 on sabbatical at Luther. And then in 2018, when the opportunity came around to take an early retirement package from Luther and work on Runestone full-time, I jumped at that chance. And so that's what I've been doing full-time ever since. I'm happy to tell you that Runestone Academy just was formally approved by the IRS as a 501c3 nonprofit. And over those years, we've grown from one class at Luther to now serving 80,000 students this year. I say that our mission is to democratize textbooks for the 21st century. There's a lot that goes into that, but for now, I'll just say that our North Star is to make great textbooks free for your students forever. And with that, I'll pass it on to Kate.
Which we appreciate greatly. Hello, I'm Kate McDonald. I'm a computer science teacher. This is my 12th year teaching CSA and 7th year, I don't remember, of CS principles, but I've been doing it since it became a class. I teach both in person and online in Aurora, Colorado, and I am a PD facilitator for CS Awesome, and I'm a contributor to the textbook in that I wrote a bunch of the auto grading code so that teachers can students can get feedback and teachers can get the grading done faster. So I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. And I'm personally excited to have this group of presenters joining us tonight. I think all of them have made amazing contributions to computer science education. And it's been great working with all of them for our Runestone ebooks that we have offered in the curricula and professional development that we offer at the center. We have a few minutes here, so we would love to know who is in the room with us. So we welcome you, if you haven't already, to introduce yourself in the chat. Feel free to share where you're located and maybe why you are choosing to attend. While you're writing in the chat, I just want to share a little bit of information about who registered for the webinar tonight. So we had over 50 registrants for the webinar, and most of which, to no surprise, were mostly high school educators. And many of you are interested in CS Awesome or both CS Awesome and Mobile CSP. But there is a group of you that signed up and registered and you aren't sure which ebook you want to use. So when Brad's presentation comes up, pay close attention, as I'm sure he'll share all about the various ebooks that are available. And I know one of the options that we have for professional development is not, or was not, on the registration list, and that has to do with our coaching project, which I'm going to share about in just a moment here. So I see in the chat we have some folks joining us either for CSP and or CSA, which is as expected. And it looks like we got a mix of East Coast, Central, and even international is what I'm seeing. Very nice. Welcome to everyone. And I see some familiar names in the chat too, which is great. Great to have you back. So one question that I had for everyone, I think we were curious to know if you could tell us in the room if you've used Runestone Academy before. So if yes, can you enter a 1 into the chat? If no, enter a 0. So 1, yes, I've used Runestone. 0, no, I have not used Runestone. We had a good mix there. Some yes, some no's. So interesting. Awesome. Well, thank you all again for being here. Continue to use the chat throughout the night and interact with us. I'm going to go first here and take just a little bit of time for those who may not know about the center, is how I refer to it. The National Center for Computer Science Education works for providing equitable computer science education opportunities for K through 16 teachers and students. So we focused on doing National Science Foundation research projects. We have multiple grants that we have received, and we've done work with developing mainly high school curricula around computer science. So we have Mobile CSP, Mobile Computer Science Principles, which is an endorsed provider for AP CSP, and focuses on building mobile apps while introducing teachers and students to computer science and programming using MIT's App Inventor. And we also have CS Awesome, which is an endorsed provider for AP CSA and preparing teachers and students to learn Java programming. But we also have a really big focus on equity, and our latest project that we have, which we'll share opportunities about how to get involved a little later, the Coaching for Equity in CS project, which allows teachers to receive one-to-one coaching on focusing on inclusive CS teaching practices in the classroom with their students. So at the national level, we have coaches who are experienced computer science teachers working with newer computer science educators to help them build their skills and capacity in offering computer science at their schools in an equitable and inclusive way. So at the center, we're really focused on making sure that we are doing research and that we are kind of spearheading the computer science education realm, and making sure that teachers and students have their voices heard, working with partnerships with other organizations to offer curricula and professional development across the nation. So again, at the end, we're going to make sure that we have opportunities that are available that we'll share with you. Another thing that I'd like to share is that the center is based at the College of St. Scholastica, which is in Duluth, Minnesota. Duluth is a really small, beautiful place. And some of you may have visited there. I go back each year and get to meet with my colleagues in person, but most of the time I'm working remotely. And that's really important here because CSS is one of the leading online institutions for providing education to students across the nation. That allows us to be able to provide online computer science professional development for teachers. So not only are we providing online professional development through programs such as Mobile CSP and CS Awesome, but we also have a certificate in computer science education. And that certificate is a 4-course sequence completely online that CS educators across the nation can sign up for and complete. In some cases, depending on your state, you may be able to use that certificate to gain endorsement or credentials. It really depends on your specific state. There is the opportunity to take professional development with us and then transfer into the graduate level courses to obtain credit as well. So there's a couple of different options and pathways. We also, because of the online presence as well, we're able to provide both pre and in-service teacher education. So CSS is one of less than 10 schools in the country that has both pre and in-service teacher education in computer science specifically. And I'm going to put the link into the chat so you can learn more about the center. But this is an opportunity tonight to learn more about some of the programs that we offer and some of the partnerships that we have that allow us to offer free professional development and free curricula for computer science. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Art to talk about CSTA.
Thanks, Pauline. Well, I'd like to let everybody know that I am a very proud member of the Computer Science Teachers Association. It is an international organization, but we have most of our chapters in the United States, but we're really always seeking to expand. Our mission and values is to provide a voice for teachers, and we also want our organization to be driven by teachers. And so I am the 9th to 12th grade high school representative, and I've been trying to do a lot of different things to make sure that occurs. We are member focused, and we are committed to equity in our community and for the students that our members serve. We are really cognizant of trying to serve underserved and underrepresented groups in computer science, and that includes women, children of color, students of learning differences, English learners, and just any marginalized group that we can think of. And it is really a great place for people to grow, especially when you want to learn more about how to teach computer science education for your children. Can we go to the next slide? So there's 3 core things that CSTA does for our global community. One, we invite every single one of you guys to join. There's nearly 20,000 members through the US and internationally. We're primarily K-12 teachers, but we have higher ed faculty researchers, we have administrators, and we have CS education advocates, and we have industry members. We have Google and Microsoft have formed sponsorships with us, and we have a lot of different types of industry members that are helping us promote computer science education and its importance for our kids. We really like to engage with our members and with teachers, and we want to provide PD that you actually want to attend. We're really cognizant that we want to focus it on computer science education topics, but with an equity lens in mind. And we have year-round monthly PD events. We have biannual summits. Recently we had one for pedagogy that was presented by I think the Raspberry Pi Foundation. It was Hello World. It was really great. And we also had the Equity Summit. We have an Equity Fellowship that made a really great summit and talked about, equity in the computer science education space. And we really try to customize your learning with our library. It's peer created. That means teachers are creating it, and it's aligned with the national standards as provided by the computer science education for grades K through 12 by CSTA. And we also invite you to become leaders in this space. If you really would like to encourage and empower the voice of computer science educators and the importance of computer science education with your students in K through 12, this is the place for you. You can share your expertise with a global community. I've met people from all over the world. We have virtual communities, which have been really expanding our reach and network, and I really would encourage you to join. So if you go to the next slide, and Pauline, keep me a track. Let me know when it's 5 minutes and I'll just stop, okay? We have two types of membership. We have a basic membership, it's free, but we have a CSTA plus $50 annual Computer Science Teachers Association membership called CST Plus. You have a lot of benefits for that. If you can go to the next slide. If you become a member and you're just do the free part, you have searchable vetted PD opportunities. Pauline, will we be sharing out the slide deck with people later?
We can.
Okay, great. And because it has all the links, and I don't, they'll be there for them. You can be able to search for the K through 12 standards that we've created. And also we have standards for CS teachers that we'll be discussing a little bit later in the self-reflecting checklist. And we also have a lot of social justice resources for computer science education. And you can go ahead and go next. And now, if you decide you'd like to, pay $50 to become a CSTA Plus member, you get all of these different resources available to you. We have some really cool programs such as the Equity Fellowship, the CS Honor Society, where you can fill out an application and create a computer science honor society for your high school students. And that's gone really well for a lot of different teachers that teach computer science courses. It kind of expands the program, really encourages a lot more kids to take those kinds of courses. So I think it's a really big benefit. We have a CS or EL project, Computer Science for English Learners project, that I'm involved with, that I'm hoping will be open source and free at a point sometime in the future. And we have CSTA awards for both teachers and students available. And we have all of those other different member benefit highlights that you can gain by joining as a CSTA Plus member. And then you go to the next slide. And we have our CSTA chapters. Currently, we have 98 chapters, and we have a few that are international. We have, I believe, when I was doing the last count, we have now a local chapter at every state. So it's a great place to network. And if you're like me, I was like the only computer science teacher in my school site. I'm in a silo. CSTA provided me a network of other teachers that are teaching computer science courses that I can bounce off ideas from, learning from each other. It's been awesome. So we're about building community, providing professional development and support, and establishing operational foundations. So if you haven't, if you don't belong and you're curious, I would encourage you to look for your state's chapter and attend a meeting and check it out. A lot of us have virtual meetings, and we also have in-person meetings. So it'd be great if you can stop by and just check it out and see if you like it or not. Okay. Yeah, and welcome to the world's largest computers. That's what we like to call ourselves. We are the world's largest computer science department because we reach out to all 50 states, and we have chapters now in England, I believe in Holland, Nigeria, and the Philippines, and hopefully we'll be expanding soon into Japan and China. Okay. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'll provide you my email address at the end of the session. Okay, now CS standards for CS teachers, PD in a box. And this is a reflection for teachers to consider. We created some criteria for you to think about to see. We'd like to see where you're at in terms of where you think you're at, actually, in terms of teaching computer science courses. And I've taught APCSA for about 4 or 5 years now. And I think many of you may be teaching APCSA and APCSP. By doing this reflection checklist, it really helped me and my district figure out what we need to do to get teachers more training, and also think about your own practices and encouraging the expansion of computer science courses in the place where you work at. This usually takes about an hour, but today we're just going to spend 20 minutes on it. We're just going to do a just real quick dive into it. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. And one thing I want to let you know, I just was in the board of director meeting, and somebody stopped me when I said I'm going to be doing this. They told me, hey, just tell everybody we got major revisions and updates that will be provided soon. We've gotten a lot of feedback over the past year since we've opened this up, and we're making changes to it that are very positive based upon the feedback we're receiving. Okay, you can go to the next slide, Pauline. So we have created in CSTA standards for CSTA teachers. So these standards, they're designed to provide you clear guidance around effective and equitable CS instruction, so you can support rigorous CS education for all K-12 students. If you notice that there is on that graphic 5 different criteria that we use in order to consider this. So we want to be guided by providing PD for teachers, effective and engaging PD. So what we ask people to do is, if you're teaching computer science courses, is take this reflection checklist so that you can give yourself an idea of where you're at in terms of teaching computer science education courses based upon this criteria. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Now, this reflective teachers PD in a box, you can actually download these materials from this webpage from CSTA. I don't know if you can, Pauline, but if you can drop the link in the chat, that would be great, because when I did make the recommendation to make it easier to find, because it's a little bit challenging to find this within the website. But I would suggest that you check it out, look at it. It's 3 hours. You can split it up. There's lots of ways to do this, but it's designed to be used by states, districts, and CSTA chapters to help CSTA teachers understand the CSTA standards for CS teachers and reflect on your teaching practices. So if you can go to the next slide, Pauline. So we have 3 parts to doing this. Part 1 is to do the CSTA CS standards for students and teachers. You're going to go through the curriculum framework. You go through and figure out, okay, what are you supposed to teach within the differing grade bands that you provide computer science education. So we have differing standards for grades K through 2, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, and then 9 through 12. And there's a progression to these standards. And many states across the United States have adopted the national standards from CSTA, and or the states are having committees from the Department of Education to build their own state standards. They can modify them. We did this in California. I was on the committee for the California computer science standards, and we utilized the national standards to form us. We did make modifications, some changes to it, but it was a great way to start it. Part 2 is the self-reflection checklist. We're going to look at reflecting on your own practice and experience. So if we can get to the next slide, Pauline, and if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat, and Kate and Pauline can let me know what the questions may be. So the self-reflection checklist is a rubric. It's a tool. It's going to assist you in reflecting on your own progress toward meeting the CSTA standards for CS teachers. You can complete this on your own, or you might be wanting to engage your school site, your district instructional coach or administrator, or a part of a teacher preparation program, or as part of a professional development opportunity. It really gives you the opportunity to really think about where you're at in terms of teaching computer science education courses. And we go to the next slide, Pauline. So the goals for this part is we want to refresh an understanding of the CSTA standards for CS teachers. These are really different from the curriculum framework or the K through 12 computer science standards for students. At the end of the day, what should they be able to do? What should they know? And that's really distinct from what we expect as in terms of standards for CS teachers. And so let's go ahead and look at this, and we'll make a copy for each one of you, and then we'll go ahead and provide an activity of going through this. By the way, when I did this for the first time, I was like, okay, let me look at this. And all of a sudden I realized, okay, I've done a lot, but whoa, I'm missing a lot. So just to let you know, it's really good. It was well designed, and I think it really makes you think about it from those 5 key criteria that's used to do these check. Okay, so Pauline dropped into the chat the forced copy, which is awesome. This one, I believe, is the one. Is that the one you dropped in the chat, Pauline, or is it? Yeah, great. You dropped it. Yeah, that one's from the website where we can't fill in any of the information in it. Can you make a forced copy for yourself, Pauline? Awesome. Okay, so in this forced copy, you have instructions provided on the first tab of this spreadsheet, and it'll tell you step by step of 1 to 2. If you notice at the bottom of the tabs, you have standards 1 K through 2. You can either right click or click on the little arrow and hide them. So if you click on one of them, and then if you're not going to use it, you can hide the sheet. But you don't have to. You could do them all if you want, Pauline. That's up to you. Or you can go straight to standard 3, because we're going to be using standard 3 as an activity for the next few minutes on how to utilize this self-reflection checklist. Can you go back to the slide deck? Pauline, by the way, thank you so much for doing this for me. And let's go to the next slide. Okay, so in this slide, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the criteria for standard number 3. Pauline, if you could go to the next slide, which is that one. Thank you. We skipped a bunch of slides there. I just put the whole slide deck in there because we go ahead and look at each one, but we're just going to look at standard 3. So we're going to look at professional growth and identity. So effective CS teachers continuously develop their knowledge, practice, and professional identity to keep pace with the rapidly evolving discipline. They participate in the larger CS education community and collaborate with others to develop the skills that enable all students to succeed in their classes. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different indicators that we utilize to find if we are an effective CS teacher. Are you pursuing targeted professional development? Are you modeling continuous learning? Are you examining and counteracting any personal bias if it exists? Are you committed to the mission of CS for all students? Do you leverage community resources? And do you participate in computer science professional learning communities? So we're going to utilize these indicators when you go through this reflective checklist. Can you go ahead and go back to your spreadsheet? There are 3 choices that you're going to have for each indicator: not yet, proficient, and advanced. And as you read through each one of the checklists, you can look at that, then go ahead and check mark. So Pauline, check mark advanced, if you don't mind. Oh yeah, that's fine. It'll turn green, it'll turn yellow, turn red. Then the next step is providing evidence of proficiency. Okay, what can you provide as evidence that you actually have done something that will say that you met the criteria for that indicator? And then once you do that, do you have any reflections and or next steps to consider in order to meet that targeted indicator? So I have Pauline, is it okay if I share my screen really quick? I will share my screen. And I have my own copy. And on the evidence of proficiency, I put in that I've taken PD for APCSP as a pilot instructor. I helped develop the curriculum, then so on and so forth. I've had PD for APCSA. I've been a facilitator, RPM member. I took the APSI from the College Board. CS Plus Elementary, a project manager. I'm creator of PD design for the elementary school space, middle school, and so on and so forth. So if you can put on there the evidence that indicates that you've achieved one of these categories for the indicator, and then maybe think about some reflection and next steps, which I feel in like I want to continue to learn more about this would be great. So let's take how much time do you think we should take, Pauline?
Can I do 5 minutes?
Yes, 5 minutes would be perfect. So if you could take 5 minutes, and if you only get through one indicator or you get to 2 indicators, that's fine. Maybe you want to first identify where you're at in terms of the indicator, and then if you can fill out the evidence, which is really important when you're doing this, it would be great. If you have any questions, let me know. You can unmute or, type in the chat. I'm assuming you got a timer going, Pauline. Yeah, great. That helped. Okay, so we can now come back. Okay, so if you don't mind sharing your screen again, Pauline. Okay, so as the last point, if you're willing to, it's up to you, there's no pressure, but we usually have a reflection for the standard, for each one of these standards. If you don't mind, can you, without pressing enter, I'll count down to press enter. Can you list an area of strength and maybe an opportunity for growth? If you can put one of each in the chat, we'll give you about a minute to type something in. And then when I go 3, 2, 1, enter, then everybody can go ahead and press enter. This is a waterfall chat. And Pauline, do you want me to keep track of the time, or do you got it? I'll keep track. I always find it, I don't know how anybody else feels, but I always find it challenging, especially with kids, to find the right amount of time to let them work and share, to finish and complete something. And we got about 20 more seconds. So I am now going to count down to 3, 2, 1. Can you please press enter?
You doing what they say.
All right. Well, thank you. So strength, always looking for classes, growth, community resources. Besides local colleges, I have none. Pursuing professional development and participating PLCs is a strength. Personal bias and leveraging community resources is somewhere to grow in. And so as you notice, I hope that this exercise and activity helps you consider, the self-reflection checklist is really, a checklist for ourselves, and think about where we're at in terms of computer science education. And I hope you find this helpful for you. I did, because it really helped me in terms of thinking about my own personal growth and trying to be a more effective computer science educator. And again, everyone, I really appreciate you sharing with us. If we have a survey, would you mind dropping the link in there? If you would like to, you don't have to do it now, but if you go through the rest of the reflection checklist and you do it, if you could provide us feedback on your thoughts about it, what we can do differently to make it better, it would be really deeply appreciated. And thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to pop my email address in the chat. And Pauline, I think I have completed both topics.
Thanks, Art. We have about 30 seconds here, so I just want to say there is one more slide just to remind us that CSTA does do a review of professional development, and they have a list of quality PD. So I'm going to drop the link into the chat. Ideally, you would identify what are your areas for improvement and what your plan is for moving forward. And one resource you can use this quality PD section where you can filter and search for PD related to specific courses or content that you might feel you need to improve in and just build strengths. And both CS Awesome and Mobile CSP are listed and approved as quality PD, and you'll learn a little bit more about both of those tonight. But really be thinking about, well, what are my next steps? Now that I've done this checklist, the self-reflection checklist, what do I do next, and what areas of improvement have I identified, and what is some targeted professional development that I can pursue in the summer and the next academic year to help me grow?
Pauline, can
yeah.
I say one quick last thing about this? CSTA just created online courses that are free with the CSTA Plus membership via Coursera, and one of them is on well, I forget, one is cybersecurity that I know about, and the other one is on identities in CS. So yeah, thanks a lot for that, Pauline.
Yeah. Thanks, Art. And next up, we're going to have Brad. Brad's going to share a Runestone Academy preview. Brad, would you like me to keep sharing my screen and share your slide?
Yep. If we could just start with that first slide, that would be great. So describing to people what Runestone Academy is has always been a huge challenge. In the beginning, all I wanted to do in 2011 was to create a computer science textbook where students could just run the code right in the book. I thought that in 2011, how can we not have an interactive computer science textbook? So that was kind of where it all started. Was I found an implementation of Python that ran in the browser. And everything started to spiral out of control after that. And so that's kind of why I share this diagram with you. It really kind of describes both our history and kind of our mission. So the way we like to think about it is we want to have great textbooks so that students can learn to program better. And if we have students that are using an online resource like Runestone, well, then that can feed directly into educational research. And very luckily, in 2011, I happened to meet Barb Erickson and her husband, Mark, at an awards conference in San Jose. And we've had a great working partnership ever since. And some of the best features of Runestone, things like Parsons problems, which I'm guessing some of you have heard about, maybe most of you have heard about, come directly from partnerships with these educational researchers like Barb and Mark. And through that research, we can then feed those ideas into our open educational resources so that authors can then write better textbooks and provide better resources for you as teachers to use in your own classrooms. And of course, better teaching is going to lead to better student learning, which leads to more challenges for our educational researchers, which leads to further improvements. Like, for example, I'm currently working with Barb on a big project to bring peer assessment into the textbooks, which again is a great teaching technique and has also been proven to be a great learning technique. And so we just never know where things are going to lead us next. And about a year ago, I was doing some reading and I came across this term called learning engineering. And I thought, I wonder what that is. I've never heard that term before. And so I read about the definition of that term and I said, well, that's what we've been doing. So now we have a nice label for it. So I like to call Runestone a learning engineering and analytics portal. So we call it a leap. Some might say it's kind of a leap of faith. So that's what we are. And that is our goal. And that really does also describe kind of the four main constituencies of people that we work with. I wanted to say just a little bit more before I jump in and try to give you a little taste of some of the things that are in the textbook. But when we talk about democratizing textbooks for the 21st century, what does that mean? So of course, it means that we want to make them free. We want to make them highly accessible, is a better way of putting that. And highly accessible doesn't just mean free. Before the pandemic, I happened to be invited to one of these workshops where I received an email out of the blue, and I thought, why would I want to go to San Jose to go to a math workshop? And it turns out that it was a really good thing I did, because I formed a great partnership with the Pretext project. And the Pretext is an authoring language for interactive textbooks. They didn't have any interactive features at that time, but Runestone had a whole lot of interactive features, and I was getting overwhelmed trying to maintain both Runestone servers and try to provide an authoring language. But more than that, what Pretext does, in addition to providing great interactive textbooks that run on Runestone Academy, if you write a book in Pretext, you can also get a PDF output of that textbook. Now, of course, it's not interactive, but you can give a PDF to one of your students if they need it. We can get EPUB output, or we can also get Braille editions of any of the textbooks that we have written in Pretext. So that really serves that mission of making the textbooks more accessible. And they have a whole bunch of people that care about making sure that all the HTML that we produce passes all the WCAG standards and is highly responsive, so that it works great on phones as well as tablets and all kinds of devices. So we're in the process of converting all of our textbooks that were written in the old style that I had created over time all of those will be over to free-text format here in the next year or so. But also, we want to make sure that in the 21st century, textbooks should be more intelligent and adaptive. We have a lot of ideas about how we can maybe make it possible for teachers and authors to put in more culturally appropriate examples for their class. And even this summer, we've got a few students who are very interested in doing a little experimenting with to see if we can integrate Chat GPT into a Runestone textbook, and can we sort of rein it in so that it can be helpful and not just write the programs for the students, but maybe can give them some hints and tips on things. I'll also just say that we're in about a third of the way through a one-year grant that we received from the NSF for making sustainable open source ecosystems. So this is really, really an important project and an important grant as we think about, you know, maybe truly retiring at some point. We want to have an ecosystem that we know will be sustainable and will be helping students long after I'm willing to work on it day after day after day. A lot of people always want to know how are we sustainable? How do we make any money? How do we pay for our server bills and things like that? And so I'll just say that we get support in 4 different ways. When a student signs up, they have the opportunity to make a $10 donation to Runestone. When a teacher creates a class, there's an opportunity for that teacher to check a checkbox and say, yeah, my school has an extra $100 or $200 lying around, and we'd be more than happy to have you send us an invoice, and we'll send you that $100 to help support the mission of keeping textbooks free for students. Last year, we had about 115 million page views on Runestone Academy, and about 40% of those page views are totally driven by search engine traffic. And so if you land on a Runestone page, you will be served an ad through the ethical ad network. And so that advertising at the bottom of the page also is a sustainable kind of way of keeping some money coming in. And but don't worry, if you create a class, your students will never see an ad as a part of a Runestone textbook. And then we do get support from research grants at these other universities, places like University of Michigan, UT Austin, Virginia Tech. We're working with researchers at those schools, again, in the name of trying to find ways to keep improving those textbooks. So let me just now switch over, and I will share my screen and try to give you a quick demo of what Runestone looks like. So this is one of our new pre-text written books. So it looks a little bit different. We haven't converted to CS Awesome yet. If you haven't seen a Parsons problem, this is also an example of a Parsons problem. And they can be used for literally anything, plain text, programming text. Here's an example here of one where we're trying to, help a student through a mathematical proof of something or another. So, and the idea is simply that you can just, if you can't think of, if you're not ready to write a program from scratch, you can just start dragging and dropping these blocks around, and you can check your work, and it'll tell you if you're too short or if you got blocks out of order or what you should be doing. And if you've tried a whole bunch of times, you can click on the help me button, and it'll give you some adaptive help, like it might eliminate a block that you don't need to use in the solution, or it might even combine 2 blocks. So this was Barb's PhD research. And, again, it has evolved from something fairly straightforward to something now that is really very elaborate with a lot of options, a lot of adaptability, and a lot of intelligence built in. She's got a student right now working on what we're calling micro parsons. So these are for more like helping students construct statement level type things. So you could say, oh, here's a simple SQL. We want to select star from test, and we can check and see that we got that right. But these are great for teaching students about regular expressions, SQL, just putting together assignment statements, anything that's kind of less than a program, but something where you might need a little bit of help. We have these clickable area exercises. I kind of like these because this is how I always did a lot of things on my exams was, can you find all the assignment statements? Can you find all the variables that are integer variables? And the students just can click on things and they get immediate feedback and help. We have true false questions, multiple choice questions, these Parsons exercises, active code questions, we call them, but that's again, that's just writing programs. You can write it right in the browser. Here's a C hello world. Here's a Python hello world. Of course, we do Java as part of our CS Awesome. We can't do Java in the browser, but we have a big sandbox server that runs, and we compile on an average day, we compile about 120,000 Java programs for students throughout the day. If you've never seen CodeLens before, CodeLens is an awesome tool that you can click through one line at a time, and you can see all the data structures are visualized here. You can see the values of all the variables. So just a lot of really cool learning tools to help your students. I'm going to change over to a different course really quick. And I think I've got just about, a couple minutes, Pauline?
Yep, about 2.5 minutes.
All right. So as an instructor, you can go to this instructors page here, and we have this tab. So this is one of the things that I really loved about having an interactive textbook platform, is that we could have, if you make an assignment for your students, have them work on something overnight, you can go to this student progress tab in your instructor dashboard. You can quickly get an overview of which students are putting in a lot of effort and which students are kind of not doing a whole lot. You can look at all of the interactive questions that were a part of a reading assignment, and you can zero in on the ones that like a lot of the students were getting this one right on the first try. Sometimes there are questions where you see it's a lot of red where students never got the question right. And then the gold parts of the donut here show you where those were questions that students got right after multiple attempts. And if you want to drill in on any of those, you can click on exercise details, and you can drill in and you can see, how for each student, how they answered the question, how many times they tried to answer it. Get a kind of this isn't a very interesting bar chart of the distribution of the answers. It'll remind you of the question. So we try to provide you as a teacher with a lot of different visualizations of what your students were working on, where they're active, where they're struggling. And hopefully that, you can use that to very quickly plan the first few minutes of class. If you know that you had to assign them to do some things over the course of a reading and a lot of them were struggling, well, that's probably a good place to start with some review before you dive into your lesson for the day. So there's tons and tons more that I could go into, but we have a whole 3-hour workshop that we just gave at SIGC a week ago. So that's about all I can get in 15 minutes.
Thanks, Brad.
Yep.
I'm gonna grab your screen.
I will. Okay. Yep.
I think I got it. Haha. So I'm going to talk about additional resources. But basically, so far, Runestone is the platform where CS Awesome and Mobile CSP are housed. And so, of course, they provide the student-facing books for our classes, but I wanted to talk about additional resources as well, because not only do you have the textbook available to you, there's also a whole lot of teacher resources. So I just wanted to pull a couple of these out and kind of show you what they were. So if you haven't already, it sounds like some of you have. There's a CS Awesome teacher group. That's a great group to join. And also there's a CSP teacher group. If somebody can drop those in the chat, that would be great. Yeah, we'll have plenty of Runestone trainings as well. So in the teacher resources, we have lesson plans for every lesson in CS Awesome. I'm not as familiar with Mobile CSP because I'm a CS Awesome teacher and PD facilitator, so I'm focusing more on that and showing you what they say, but Mobile CSP looks the same. So every lesson plan contains all the things that you could possibly need for a lesson plan if you had to turn them in. They're great learning activities, lots of hands-on different types of activities to use. It goes through and really tries to provide you with some background about what you need to do for teaching. There are common misconceptions, ideas for differentiation, and even teacher tips specific to each lesson. So each lesson has the textbook section. It also has the lesson plans that are available to you. Then beyond that, once you join the teacher group, there's a whole drive that is shared with you that has all sorts of teacher resources for the different curriculums. So things that are really cool, there's a pacing guide, there are lesson plans, there's assessments by other teachers, there are slide decks and resources by teachers. So if you're teaching these classes for the first time, it's all available to you. Art has made a bunch of really, really wonderful slides that my teachers have been using this year quite a lot. There are some links to Quizlets, other review things. There are ideas about summer assignments, and of course, what we all want, the solutions are available. So there is also a teacher version of Mobile CSP that you can join in Runestone. And so that kind of acts as this resource, like also gives you resources. But it does, we always get questions about solutions. How do we solve this problem? In CS Awesome. And so you can always look for the solutions here. So this is all free. This is part of being part of the teacher group, which is fantastic. There's also the Google group. So the teacher group, if you haven't joined it, I highly recommend it. I was just thinking that I need to join the Mobile CSP teacher group just to see what they're talking about. We do a lot of just asking questions. People who get stuck on something or don't know an answer will ask a question, and then you'll have 5 people immediately answer you. One of my teachers last week was really excited because she told the group, or she told a student that she didn't know the answer, but she was going to ask the group, and almost immediately they got an answer, and the student was super impressed. We also share resources. So lots of ideas for projects, lots of extra outside things to add to CS Awesome. It's by far one of the most active communities I've ever been a part of. We're also incredibly friendly. Everybody answers right away. You have teachers with all levels of experience. So there are people who've been teaching AP Summer Institute since before 2000 and been readers since before 2000 in the group. And then you also have brand new teachers. So it really, I cannot recommend it more. If you are teaching CSA, it's great, even if you're not really using CS Awesome. Of course, we're all using CS Awesome. We want to be using it because it's great, but it's there. And then there are several AP readers who always jump in and answer questions about FRQs and things like that. So I just pulled up kind of the subjects of the last few days. We've had probably 20, 30 emails in the last few days. Some of it's about Runestone, some of it's about review, some of it's specific problems. We got into a big discussion about arrays being kind of, how to characterize arrays versus array lists. So it was very interesting. And this teacher actually was sharing some coding bat resources. So everybody shares a lot of information, and it's really just it's a cool place to be and get that information. So yeah, I highly recommend that you join those. Oh, awesome. Pauline's already on the ball. The other site that I wanted to share with you was inclusivcsteaching.org. And Art actually mentioned this earlier when he was talking. And this is a website that basically groups together all of the best practices for CS teaching. And so there are 6 categories that have lots of different things in them. So accessibility, direct instruction, structured collaboration, classroom culture, equity, and then careers in CS. So this works for all of CS. There's a glossary, which is what I screenshotted here. And so just kind of as a great reminder of all the different ways that we can structure our teaching to get students more involved and include more people. So I love this as kind of a list of things to do, because I often get stuck in one, I'm always lecturing or I'm always doing peer instruction. And so this helps to kind of make it so I do different things and make it more exciting for my students. I wanted to pull out a couple of examples for you to see what's on this site. There's a Universal Design for Learning tab that has just very simple ideas for how to bring these strategies into your classroom. So turn captions on, write out vocabulary, and then you click on the little arrows and they give you even more ideas. So it's just a really interesting way to learn on your own and just kind of become a better teacher. This one, I just think the graphics interesting. We talk a lot about this during PD, creating a welcoming learning environment so that everyone's included. Trying to make sure that your classroom is truly a welcoming place for everyone is something that not everyone thinks about, I think. But it's important to be very intentional about it. And then the last one is just I love flipped learning. I love flipped classroom. I actually do flipped classroom with CS Awesome. And so I pulled up this one as well to show you that there are examples of places to go for just kind of learning about new ways to teach as well. So inclusivcsteaching.org is a great site to go explore on your own. I highly recommend that you spend some time looking around and seeing what's there. And then I think that's Pauline.
Thanks, Kate. I think it's a great transition. You want to go ahead and let me screen share?
Yep.
So the Inclusive CS Teaching site is used in almost all of our PD opportunities that we have at the center. We find a way to incorporate it into all of the projects that we're working on. So we want to share some opportunities for you. These are just some highlighted opportunities that I thought were good, and Kate helped too, to think about for you in particular for this summer, for this particular audience. But if you see something that you have questions about, we'll stick around, answer questions right after this. But if you don't see something that you think fits, I would also like to know, like, what are you thinking about that might not be on the list? So you can always feel free to reach out, because it could be that we already have an opportunity and we just didn't include it in the slides today. So first and foremost, everybody loves free PD. So we wanted to share some free PD opportunities with you all. If you are on the call tonight and you are a public US high school teacher, you are eligible to take professional development at no cost to you this summer through the Pathfinders Online Institute. This is a really, really great opportunity that is offered by the Emphasis Foundation USA. And this year there are 20 PD providers that are offering PD for you. At all different ranges. And they are allowing us again to offer CS Awesome as one of those providers. So we will have a CS Awesome PD, but also different or newer this year to announce is that As a U.S. public high school teacher for Pathfinders, you can sign up for not only one, but 2 courses this summer. So you could take CS Awesome and one other PD that interests you. You could take just 2 other PDs. So I highly recommend that you check out the Pathfinders Online Institute, sign up for your free account and look at the various offerings. They're offered at all different times throughout the summer this year. But one of the ones that we wanted to highlight again specifically to tonight is that CS Awesome for APCSA and Learning Java is part of that opportunity. And you can sign up to do the PD July 17th through 21st. It's a daily PD intensive for that 1 week, meeting every day synchronously. And there will be some pre-work opportunities for those who are completely new to Java. So if you think, well, I don't know Java, but I want to try this and I just maybe need some time to pick up on some of the beginning pieces, you can do that in the pre-work session that happens right before the intensive week. And this is a PD that can be taken by those who are completely new to Java. We recommend that you have at least some kind of previous programming experience like CSP or have done some block-based programming previously before diving in. But you are welcome, even if you don't have that, to give it a try. If you are a US public high school teacher, we will accept you into the program. We also have our CS Awesome research project. So we are wrapping up our NSF funded grant, which focuses on helping teachers transition from teaching CSP to teaching CSA. And we are in an extension year and we are still hoping this summer to offer another PD starting June 20th through August 6th. This is a 6-week extended PD for those who are completely new to Java and it's online. It's more of a slower pace, so it's not as intensive. It gives you time to kind of absorb the material, doing 1 unit per week and working with our PD facilitator. If you would like to try completing the scholarship form, we are welcoming teachers to apply. You need to have taught APCSP and be looking to transition into teaching APCSA and have less than 3 years of APCSA experience. So we invite you to apply. Seats are limited for that for this coming summer. If you have questions, please reach out. My next opportunity here, coaching. So if you are a high school, US high school APCSP or APCSA or both teacher, you are eligible to receive free one-to-one coaching in computer science for the upcoming academic year. And in this coaching program, we are matching experienced computer science teachers who are trained to coach a fellow computer science teacher and using equitable and inclusive teaching practices in their CS courses. And they are going to work one-on-one to do coaching cycles with the high school teachers that they are paired with. So this is an opportunity for you to receive free one-on-one coaching for the entire academic year. And as a bonus, if you are participating in this research project, you receive a $750 stipend for your participation. We are actively looking for and seeking teachers to sign up. So please, 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 if you're here tonight and you teach APCSP or APCSA or both, sign up. If you have less than 3 years of APCS teaching experience, you are a priority for us to accept into the program and make sure that you are getting the support that you need. If you have more than 3 years of APCS teaching experience, we will still consider your application, but it is likely that you probably would be a better fit to be a coach with us. So our instructional coaches are receiving free PD themselves in the summer, and then they go on to support a teacher throughout the entire academic year in the coaching cycles, and also receive coaching professional development throughout the academic year. So On both ends, there's opportunities to participate and build your capacity in computer science education and equity and inclusive teaching practices. And we'd love to have you apply to be involved. And thank you, Kate, for putting the link into the chat. And I neglected to mention for the coaches, there's also a stipend of $5,700 for that as well. Couple more going through these. Do we have any California educators on the call? I don't recall from earlier. Besides Art, we know Art is from California. Okay, well, just in case there's a California teacher that is watching the recording, we have the California Seasons of CS is offering California educators the opportunity to receive free professional development, and there's an opportunity to receive incentives as well, so stipends for completing the PD. We will have both CS Awesome and Mobile CSP offered this summer through the Seasons of CS. So if you know a California CS educator, please spread the word. This is an opportunity for them to take free professional development and get an incentive. They need to apply by May 10th, though. That is a deadline set by our partners at the Seasons of CS. I think my last one here before we transition into Q&A time with the remaining time we have left is Brad gave the wonderful preview of Runestone, and he showed in there a little bit about how the Runestone instructor dashboard works. For any teacher interested, you don't have to be teaching Mobile CSP. You don't have to be teaching CS Awesome. For any teacher interested in learning more about the Runestone instructor dashboard, the center does have a mini PD series that is available starting in the summer. We are offering, again, our Runestone Instructor Dashboard Bootcamp, which is a 2 to 4 hour virtual workshop. So if you're completely new to Runestone Instructor Dashboard, you can join us and do both the basics and the advanced, and that would be 4 hours of PD for you to complete. You could choose just to do the basics and get just a little bit more of an intro into understanding what the dashboard is capable of doing and how to log in and sign up for Runestone. It allows you to register for an account, get access and choose one of the free ebooks to use, and get a sense of just what are the capabilities and features, as Brad was just giving us a preview earlier. If you're a teacher who maybe is a little bit more familiar with Runestone and maybe you've already created an account, but you want to dive deeper into knowing how to do the grading in the Runestone instructor dashboard, you can sign up for the advanced portion. So that would be just a 2 hour workshop where you take the time to sit and go hands-on, dive into using the Runestone instructor dashboard. So we will have the opportunities listed up on the screen. There's two. There's one in August and one in September, and you can register via Eventbrite for that. Yes, thank you, Kate. It is. Yeah, when we were trying to set up the dates so that way they were strategically set to help those who started either school year in August, or if they started in September, they could also register just in time to help get their dashboard set up with their students. But you're welcome to sign up for either of those. And I think with that, we're going to transition into our Q&A time and networking. We had a lot of questions or topics that were submitted in the registration form, but from looking at them earlier, I think that we addressed most of them just by having the presentations and sharing the information that we have. Again, I think someone asked a very specific question about how to grade assignments in Runestone and what are the best practices. Whoever that was that asked that, it would be a great opportunity for you to sign up for the boot camp that we have, the mini PD series, so you can dive into that, as we didn't have enough time to do that tonight. I don't know if the presenters have anything they wanted to add or any questions coming in. You can feel free to unmute as well. We have some time for questions before we wrap up.
I'm just going to jump in and say that I'm happy to help people with Runestone. If you're, trying to make assignments or trying to get your class lists, however, I've used it for a long time, so I'm very comfortable with it.
And I'll
So
just add that we have a Discord channel, and on our website, we have a number of resources for help. But I think one of the most fun resources we have is that every Tuesday and every Friday, we have what we just call drop-in office hours. And so if you can drop in for any reason and ask any question that you want to ask, and I'm there most of the time, and if I'm not there, then somebody else is there. So just stop in to chat, stop in to ask a question, and you will get one-on-one help with some of the developers. The office hours are noon to 2 Pacific time on Tuesday and noon to 3 Pacific time on Fridays.
Brad, where's that link to Discord?
I will, I'll grab it and paste it into the chat before we wrap up.
Okay, thanks. I just have a quick question. Brad, you have 2 Python books in there, Thinking Like a Computer Science and FOPP. And
So, yeah, we actually have 3 introductory Python books. The How to Think Like a Computer Scientist, which has a long history as an open source book. We have the Foundations of Python Programming, which is an offshoot of that. As Kate mentioned, that one was really designed. I actually got a contract gig with Google as a consultant when they were developing. They wanted to develop a couple of courses to bring to colleges that had never taught computer science before. And so the Foundations of Python Programming book is designed to be done kind of as a flipped classroom. Students do the work in the book at night, and then we have a whole pile of projects that they can work on in the classroom during class time. And then we have Python for Everybody, which is maybe a slightly more advanced than the other 2, but also goes into a lot of cool things. It introduces SQL, it introduces kind of, web scraping, some things like that. So lots of great Python options.
got it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this presentation. I'm sorry I joined a little late. We had a mobile CSP meeting in Hartford with one of our PDs at Capitol. So I was just wondering, will you be sending the slides out for this?
You can share them, yeah.
Thank you.
There, I just dropped the link in.
Thank you so much. Let's see, get back over here.
I'll just put in a quick plug because we are this summer, and by the end of the summer, we're hoping that we'll have about 50 math textbooks on Runestone Academy, everything from basic algebra up through abstract algebra. So I know that they don't teach abstract algebra in high school very much, but
when I clicked on that last link you put out there, it was taking me to another Zoom meeting. Is that what I'm supposed to be looking at there?
That's for our drop-in off. That was the link for our drop-in office hours. Yep.
Okay, maybe it's this other one. Okay,
I
thank
don't
you.
know if that was what you were expecting, the link.
I might have clicked the wrong one. Thank you.
Nope, the pros.runestone.academy/drop-in. That's for our drop-in office hours.
How about that Discord channel, Brad? Is that on the Runestone site?
Yeah, if you go to blog.runestone.academy and click on support, that also has links to join a number of the different Google groups as well.
Did you put the names of those Python books out there, or can you put the
If you
names of the
just go
books?
to
Mhm.
runestone.academy,
Okay.
and in the top left corner, there's a link called Our Library.
Oh,
You can see all the books that are available.
oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep. Kate also put the direct link in.
So many books.
Great.
And you've added a lot since I last looked at this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's a worthy cause to donate to. I made a donation. I should make another one.
And I did drop the link to the exit survey into the chat. Again, please, if you have a moment to just give your quick feedback, that really helps us with planning future sessions. I know we threw a lot of information at you tonight, lots of resources available, but we hope that you'll consider finding a PD opportunity that is available. There are so many. And signing up for it and committing to doing the PD opportunities with us this summer. Again, if you need help determining which one is the best fit for you, I am more than happy to help. You can reach out to me at plake@css.edu. I'll put my email in the chat. I'd like to thank all of our presenters tonight. Each of you were amazing and shared so much incredible information with the attendees, and we're grateful for your time and expertise and willingness to share that information. I hope that you will consider joining us for a future webinar. We tend to do these on a monthly basis, rotating in topics that we cover. But with that, I'm going to stop the recording and I will stick around for a few more minutes. And the presenters are welcome to stay if they would like or to drop off. And if you have individual questions, you can email us or stick around. Up to you. But great to see everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Pauline.